welcome into week 5 of Power 5 Picks. I am back here with Ethan. We are on a heater on the show. Ethan, last week, again, your second week in the row, going 4-1. This brings your record for the year to 15-6. I unfortunately went 3-2 again, slightly profitable, brings my record to 13-8. Now, if you bet every single one of these games for a unit or to win a unit, so that means these are all majority spreads, which is 1.1 units, I would be up 4.2 units with a 13-8 record. And Ethan, 8.4 units you would be up if you place every single bet to win a unit so far this season. I know that isn't our true betting record. That's just our what we given out on the show. We do post all of our official plays, our locked in confirmed plays over on Twitter. But again, we say it week in and week out. Maybe we should just start taking the show bets because we are, at least on the show, at least on the Thursday night when we record, are seeing the board very well. But yeah, we have a great week ahead of us. We have 5 games, as always, we're going to talk about, but 4 ranked games, including the game probably of the season. Very excited for it. It's a very tough game to bet, but very exciting game. But Ethan, glad to have you here. How are you feeling?
Yeah, if my actual record was my show record, I'd do a backflip for you right now, but it is basically the opposite of what my show record is. So it's horrible. Winning week last week though, 4-1 or maybe 5-1 in my actual bet. So just a good week overall. Did take a couple of the show plays, which I would have taken all of them, obviously. Um, and then also one of our losses for both of us was that Labor Day Florida State game. So if you take our true Power Five, take one loss out of there. But yeah, feeling good about where my show record is. Feeling honestly really good about the slate that we're about to talk about here. Probably tail a lot of what we're about to say here. I think we're on the same side of most of these, if not all. So, or yeah, most for sure. But yeah, I think we're both hot. We're both seeing the board pretty well, and I expect a big week coming up for the show and for both of our bets.
Yeah, I hope so. I've started to lock in a couple of my college plays, but have a couple more to lock in as we approach Saturday. But yeah, let's get into it. Starting at noon, this is our only non-ranked or non-ranked opponent game we're going to talk about, non-ranked matchup we're talking about. But it is a interesting game with an interesting line, and that is number 22 BYU traveling to Baylor. Baylor is a 3-point home favorite against a ranked BYU. The over/under sitting at 47. What do you got in this almost too obvious of a trap line here?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking this game just because it just fits our mold perfectly here. I mean, it's Baylor all day long. You get the unranked team laying points at home, a 2-2 team against a 4-0 team. The 4-0 team is obviously public, which every time we get a situation like this, I'm just waiting for the public to somehow switch and realize like it's never as easy as it looks. The public is just such a big population that does not realize that, so it's a little bit funny to me. But I mean, the line tells you everything you need to know. You know, BYU looks super obvious, seems too good to be true. It probably is. Off the just ass kicking against K State, you and I were both on BYU plus the 6 last week. Didn't even come close to needing those points as they won 38-9. And they have another impressive win against SMU on the road. Um, Also a road win against Wyoming, but they're turning out to not be very good this year. And then Baylor, on the other hand, their only losses were at Utah, who at the time was 11th in the country, and they lost that by 11. And then last week's just wild loss to Colorado with the Hail Mary and the overtime there. So that is the only thing that worries me here is, you know, are they going to pick themselves back up off the mat after that kill shot that they took and come out to play? I think they are. Now they have a ranked opponent, a chance to get kind of revenge, not on BYU per se, but just in their own heads. Like, you know, hey, we should have won, we didn't. Now's our time to come back and get a statement win against BYU. So yeah, it's just everything kind of lines up here for Baylor for me. So that's where I'm going here. Like Baylor minus the points. It's one I'm definitely going to be betting for sure on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Baylor -3. It's got to be the play. Pretty much for every single reasoning that you made. I'll also add one more reasoning that I do like. It's Baylor, or sorry, BYU's first week in the rankings. I love fading teams making the top 25 for the first week. As soon as you see that number by the team, they automatically become way more public, and also the team, I think, automatically feels a little bit better about themselves. So it's a thing that a system that I do like to fade. We saw it last week quite a bit. I think 2 or 3 times last week. I know Northern Illinois is one of them. I think there was a couple others that lost in there too. But Northern Illinois is sticking out. But I love fading teams first week in the rankings. I am a little worried, like you mentioned. Emotional loss. Usually we talk about emotional wins, emotional hangovers, but an emotional loss for Baylor, little skeptical of it. But it seems like Vegas is, or at least the line makers are confident Baylor is going to bounce back. So yeah, I like Baylor quite a bit. I think they win the game. Do think it's going to be a sweat, but I do think they cover the 3 points in this one. Moving on, again, the rest of our matchups are ranked matchups. We have number 20 Oklahoma State at number 23 Kansas State. Kansas State, despite being 3 points lower in the rankings, are a 5 point favorite at home. Both these teams lost last week. Oklahoma State lost at home to Utah, but Utah was out without Cam Rising. And then we just mentioned Kansas State losing at BYU in bad fashion, 38-9, I believe. But now Kansas State back to a 5 point favorite at home. This one's tough. This one's tough. I definitely lean Kansas State in this game, but I'm gonna go a different avenue here instead of trying to pick a side in this game. I'm gonna take the over. I was on the over last week of Oklahoma State and Utah, and it just was not an over game from the get go. But Kansas State with the running quarterback, I think, can get things going. And Oklahoma State has the experience and has the offensive firepower to do it as well. So I think this is finally going to be the Oklahoma State game and the true Big 12 slash Pac 12 high scoring game that I predicted last week. So I like the over quite a bit at 57.5. That should it should seem a little high, but I like it even more that it's that high. Again, Kansas State had 47 points last week. Oklahoma State had 22-19. So what is that? 41 points last week, and now we're getting a total that's 16 points higher than that. So yeah, I like the over quite a bit. I think this is going to be a game where both teams get up there in the 30s.
Yeah, this is one game that I'm not super crazy about. I think I touched on it last week. Oklahoma State is kind of my kryptonite this year. I lost on them week one against South Dakota State, lost on them back in Tulsa week three. Liked Utah last week, and then I ended up getting scared off of them. Didn't play it, so it's just I'm uncomfortable at this point in the contest here playing Oklahoma State games, but I do lean K State. I mean, again, the proof is in the pudding, if you will. -5 after that blowout loss against BYU. You know, it's the flip side of BYU, which we just talked about. Um, but I just think that was a bad spot for K State, which is why we both liked BYU last week. They came off an absolutely blowout win Friday night, kind of like a standalone game against Arizona, who was ranked 20th at the time, and then had this Oklahoma State game on deck. So we liked BYU for that reason. Obviously, it was a huge blowout, but now, you know, I think K State was kind of peeking ahead to this one. I think they're focused, they're back home. And then Oklahoma State had a really tough matchup against Utah. There wasn't really a chance to look ahead because Utah was that ranked opponent, even higher up than K State. Um, Fought till the end, but ended up not being able to get it done here. So yeah, it's just not a game I love with Oklahoma State, but I just like the spot a lot better here for K State at home. I think the line once again is a little bit telling. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna lay it with K State for the graphic and for the show, which means I should probably bet it, but don't know if I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, that's probably a good piece of advice for both of us. If we're leading something on Thursday, we should probably just bet it. Another for me, a very tricky game. Don't really know a whole lot about one of these teams, and the second team, I just don't really know what team we're gonna get that shows up on Saturday. But that is number 15 Louisville at number 16 Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a 7 point or home favorite. Over under is sitting at 46. I believe Louisville upset them last year, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken there, but Notre Dame lost a couple, and I think Louisville was one of the teams that they lost. But this is a fishy game to me. I'm having a really tough time, so I'm going to send it to you first. So to try to navigate this a little better than I can.
Yeah, this isn't a game that I love by any means. I would lean the under, but I guess for the show, I'm probably just gonna lay it with Notre Dame. And I don't love it. That's almost definitely a side I won't be betting, but just not a believer in Louisville. I don't know really how they've made it up into a top 15 team here. Their one win is against Georgia Tech, who their one win was against Florida State, who turned out to be a nobody. Other than that, Louisville's beaten Jacksonville State and Austin Peay. Just I don't know. I'm not fully bought in on Louisville here. I think Notre Dame is going to end up being by far the better team, even though I'm not fully bought into Notre Dame either. Um, but this game being at home for Notre Dame, off the back-to-back big wins against Miami, Ohio, and Purdue, only allowing 3 points against Miami and 7 points against Purdue after their embarrassing loss to Northern Illinois. I just think Notre Dame's going to play with a little more urgency. They already had the loss. They're obviously an independent program, so they don't have any conference championship that they're fighting for, which really hurts them when it comes to the playoff. They can't get that extra huge win. So I think one more loss for them really takes them completely out of the playoff conversation. So just really for that reason alone, there's really no look ahead spot for either team here. I think both teams are going to be full focused. Um, yeah, I just think Notre Dame has a little bit more urgency. I think their defense can hold Louisville a little bit. So lean the under. I guess for the show, I'll go Notre Dame minus the 7, but it's definitely not a game that I'm in love with.
I mean, we're seeing this pretty similar. I like Notre Dame. I'm leaning them, but I'm going to go with the under for my show. I know that's, or for my bet for the show. I know that's not super helpful for you guys determining sides, but I do like the under. 46 is the lowest out of the games we're talking about. Like you mentioned, Notre Dame's defense has been phenomenal all year. I know they're 3-1, but the most points they've given up is 16. They are a very solid defensive team. And again, Louisville's kind of this team no one's talking about, and I think it's kind of for a reason. They haven't beat anyone. They've only played 3 games. They just beat Georgia Tech, which is, I think that's going to look like a worse win later in the season than it does now. Yeah, I'm not sold on Louisville. I know Notre Dame has a bye week coming up, so this is just a really a good solid game for them to get under their belt before they go into a bye and kind of like Ethan was mentioning, get focused up for the rest of the season. And yeah, so I like Notre Dame. I would lean them on the 7. This line is moving in favor of Notre Dame. I believe this opened at like 5.5, 6. It's all the way up to 7 now, a touchdown. Doubt it moves much past that. But I do think this is going to be a pretty low scoring game. All of Notre Dame's games have been low scoring. I know college player props aren't a big thing that people bet, and sometimes it's not available in states like where I am, Virginia. But I do like Riley Leonard, Notre Dame's quarterback, over rushing yards in this game. Louisville's defense is not super stout, especially in the run game, and Riley Leonard cannot throw the ball. He might be worse thrower than Alex Orji. Actually, probably not, but very similar to Michigan's throwing ability. So I think he's going to get it done on his legs. I think his rush yards are set at like 52.5. So I would like taking that as well. But I'm going to go with the full game under 46 points. Would lean Notre Dame in this game. And that brings us to the game of the week, the game of the year, probably the game of the year for a long time moving forward. We have number 2 Georgia at number 4 Alabama. Georgia is a 2-point favorite on the road. And I think this is the first time Bama has been a underdog at home since like 2007 or 2009, something like that. So quite a while. Over under sitting at 49.5. I'll take this one first. Again, fantastic game. We usually don't see these two teams play in the regular season. Usually it's a conference turn or a conference championship, or in some cases it's been national championship games or playoff games. But these two teams, their last 10 matchups, Bama has absolutely dominated. They've won 8 of the last 10. Really making Georgia kind of do whatever they want. I mean, Bama has been walking away. Most recently, Georgia did beat Bama in the national championship game, but Alabama beat Georgia last year to keep Georgia out of the playoffs. So there's bad blood both ways. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. But I'm going to have to go with Georgia simply because, again, you get the Alabama stat. How many times are they, home dogs? Barely ever. Those two words never go hand in hand with Alabama. But Georgia coming off an embarrassing win against Kentucky by, what did they win by? A point, 2 points, something gross like that. I both teams had a bye last week, but disgusting win from Georgia. Bama's never a home dog, but they are now. I gotta take the ugly side. I'm gonna go with Georgia. I'll take them on the spread. I think they win outright, obviously, but I'll take them on the spread. I think they could probably win by a field goal or 4 points. The total in this game is fishy. I went through the last 10 games. Only one game has been under 49 points, or sorry, two games have been under 49 points, and they were 49 and 48. The other games are 51 total, 65, 65, 63, 60, 71, and then 50. So these two teams love putting up points despite having stellar defenses. So that total is a little fishy. I would lean the under. I think it's going to be I know they both had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I think their defenses are going to take more of an advantage than that than the offenses are. I would lean the under, especially for how high scoring these games have been in the past. But I'm going to go with Georgia as the away favorite against Bama. How about you?
Yeah, this game is tricky by far. This could be a national championship type game here. We're lucky enough to get it in week 5 of the season, but I'm with you. I lean the under and I lean Georgia. The biggest switch here obviously is Nick Saban is no longer in charge at Bama. It is Kalen DeBoer coming over from Washington. So that just changes things a little bit. Nick Saban was never or hasn't been a home dog for Bama in however long. Um, Nick Saban was 8-2 in the last 10 against Georgia, but things just change. It's no longer Saban versus Smart. Now it's DeBoer trying to carry over what Saban has done. It's just easier said than done. I think Georgia is still a top team, if not the top team in the country. Bama's up there too. I have championship futures and Heisman on Jalen Milroe future. So I hope he looks good. I hope they keep it competitive, but I do think Georgia's just going to end up being the better team. Plus, they have the revenge from last year where Bama beat them and kicked them out of the playoffs that they probably deserve to be in. Um, who knows? I mean, you might not have a championship as a Michigan fan if Georgia makes it into the playoffs last year. So, just a huge revenge game for Georgia. Catching points in Alabama. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to pass up. Again, the line is kind of telling here with Georgia being favored. So I do lean Georgia, and then I like the under as well. Georgia only allowed 3 points to Clemson, only allowed 12 points to Kentucky. Um, Alabama's offense is good. I don't know if they're great. It's not really an Alabama offense that we're necessarily used to, like the Jamison Williams days or Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith, any of those teams, Najee Harris. Um, Still good, but I don't think it's quite as good as what we're used to. So give me the under. I think Georgia's defense is the key side of the football in this game. I think they squeak out a win, win it by a touchdown, maybe 10 points, low scoring, fun game. Kind of hope Bama wins, but I think Georgia's probably the side here.
Yeah, talking about telling lines, we have our final game of the weekend. Number 19 Illinois at number 9 Penn State. Penn State is an 18-point favorite at home. That's the most telling line of the day. If you want to bet, that's just like if Vegas rolls out a line and speaks to you, this is that game. We also have 92% of the bets. I believe that was from DraftKings coming on Illinois. Illinois opened as a 17-point dog. It has since moved to 18-point dog. So reverse line movement as big as you can get. Penn State, I know they're the cover kings, but Illinois is number 19 in the country. How many people do you see a ranked team playing another ranked team, but being a 18-point dog? That just doesn't happen. So talk about telling lines. I'm all over Penn State. I've already locked it in. I actually bought down a point right when it was at 17 and a half. I'm not super proud of that. I don't love buying or selling points, but I got minus 17 at minus 125 in favor of Penn State. So I'm going to rock with it. It's disgusting, but they cover. I think Illinois is extremely overrated, just like I thought Nebraska was overrated. Illinois obviously winning in Nebraska in overtime to push up the rankings to the 19th. Penn State hasn't played anyone yet, but got to take the cover Kings at home in a super telling line. How about you?
Right there with you. Love Penn State. Yeah, not only two ranked teams, but two ranked conference opponents as well. I mean, that's just a huge line. Um, and yeah, you just mentioned it. I mean, Illinois in overtime last week, Friday night. Um, I don't know. I always say standalone game. I know it's not a standalone. There are a couple other games, but I guess like the highlighted game of the night, if you will. Um, so yeah, huge matchup. And you've said it plenty of times, and you're dead on. Nebraska is the Colorado from last year. They're a hunted team that people pay attention to. Raiola is starting to get fairly obnoxious at this point because of his little Mahomes shit. Um, yeah, that was a huge win for Illinois. They wanted that one bad. They forced overtime and they came out on top. Um, a huge emotional letdown spot here. And Penn State, on the other hand, they just had a shellacking of Kent State, which is one of the worst teams in all of college football. UCLA on deck, who might also be one of the worst teams in college football. So absolutely no look ahead spot here. First conference game of the season for Penn State. And really, I'll just circle around right to where you started. The line is so telling. I mean, it has to be Penn State. If you're betting Illinois in this game, you might get lucky and win, but it's probably not going to be the right side. So, yeah, I'll be on Penn State with you. Wish I got the 17, but with as public as Illinois is, might get bet back down to 17 by kickoff. So it's one I'm going to wait on here. But even at the 18, I think Penn State rolls.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great weekend of games. Again, we do have a lot of other games that are pretty good to watch, just not ranked opponents. Michigan has a tough one against Minnesota. I know Michigan State has Ohio State. I actually love Michigan State in that game. There's a couple other good games out there. So do make sure you follow us on Twitter. We will post all of our plays, usually Saturday morning or Saturday early afternoon. We'll post all of our official plays. But again, probably just don't even look at those. Just look at what we gave out in the show. I just want one piece of confirmation. Do you want to lock in Georgia on the spread or the under?
Give me Georgia.
Okay.
Let's go all sides.
Ethan has five favorites. Five favorites. I lean the five favorites as well, but yeah, I threw in two totals in there. But it's good that we have all the sides taken. But yeah, I'm feeling a little too confident. I have two bets already. Like I said, I took the Penn State and I do have the Baylor locked in. We'll probably be locking in that Oklahoma State over pretty soon. Then that Georgia, I'm probably going to wait till Saturday. You know, there's going to be a boost on every sports book out there for the Georgia-Alabama game. So I'm going to wait to see what kind of boost they offer. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Good luck with all your bets. Make sure you do like, subscribe, share. We really appreciate it. Our subscribers just keep going up. And again, we're thankful all the time for you guys. But you have anything to add before we close?
Yeah, I'm shocked I'm on all favorites. I'm an under and an underdog better by trade. So why I know last year I gave out an over in the NFL, and you said when I give out an over, you should probably listen because I bet a lot of unders. So maybe you should listen to the favorites because I don't give them out that often. I'm kind of shocked I'm on all five of those. But other than that, yeah, I mean, good luck. I hope we keep the hot streak going. I like these games, and yeah, let's keep riding.
Yeah, I'm on the favorites as well. And again, I'm an underdog guy just like you. So maybe it's just a favorite week. We'll see. The underdogs have been doing great in both NFL and college. So the favorites are due. But we appreciate you guys. Good luck with all your bets. Hopefully you guys win some money, and we will see you next time. See you guys.
You better start listening to the Better in Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome to Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? To Better in Green, eh? Listening to cash out, that's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast, Better in Green.